Hello and welcome. This is Reef Testimonios, where a select group of people who have visited our marine ecosystem can share their experiences, thoughts, and understanding of this unique coral reef we have in Tela. Joining us today from England is Dr. Max Bodmer. Dr. Bodmer is currently a lecturer at the University of Lincoln in the UK. He first came to Tela when he was an undergraduate at the University of Oxford, completing his first undergraduate research here in Tela. The findings were so interesting that it led to his PhD project, and since then he has been involved with Tela Marine and Operation Wallacea in order to help monitor the health of the reef and assess how we can protect it. Hi Dr. Bodmer, how are you doing?
Hi Ansel, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
All right, here in Honduras. So maybe you could let us know a little bit more about yourself and how you got involved in the world of marine conservation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm currently a lecturer at the University of Lincoln in the UK, and I kind of ended up going into academia because of my love of marine biology and everything that lives under the sea. Really, the first thing that got me interested in marine biology was scuba diving. So I was privileged enough to be able to learn to scuba dive when I was about 18 years old. And before that point, I decided that actually all I wanted to do was be an actor, and I wanted to be on Broadway or on the West End. But then as soon as I went diving and I saw all of the crazy creatures that live under the water, I decided that actually marine biology was the way I wanted to go. And I think it was the excitement and the idea that you can be exploring these incredible environments that we actually know very little about. Marine biology, being a marine biologist, you kind of feel a bit like you're an astronaut. You're kind of going out there and you're exploring in all these unknown areas, and you don't need to go out into space in order to find aliens. You just need to go about 30 centimeters under the water and you find all of these crazy and fairly disgusting creatures that are living under the ocean, and it kind of really opens up your world. Opens your eyes to this incredible world. So it was really when I first started to learn to scuba dive that I got really into marine biology, and I decided to focus my efforts on studying marine biology. And then the more you learn about marine biology, unfortunately, the more you learn about how precarious the ocean is and how important its conservation is. And that kind of took me further down that route. And really, that's kind of my passion is conservation of marine ecosystems.
I didn't know you wanted to be an actor at the beginning. That's
all I wanted to be.
Really? A Broadway actor.
Yeah.
Actor. Hollywood actor.
Oh, it'd be great, wouldn't it? Oh, so good. I wanted to be in musicals. That's what I wanted to do.
I've heard you sing. You sing really well. Maybe you'll sing for us later. Max, could you please share with us what were the first thoughts that came to your mind when you first saw the reef, and why locals and the conservation community in general should care about the conservation of these magnificent reefs here in Tela?
Absolutely. Well, the first time I tried to see the reef, I actually couldn't see the reef in Tela because the visibility was so bad. So I had been told about this amazing reef system where the coral cover was the most amazing you're ever going to see in the Caribbean. And unfortunately, I went down and I couldn't see past my hand here. But the second time I went diving in Tela, it was completely eye-opening. It was really quite a humbling experience, really, because the only other places I dived in the Caribbean and in the Mesoamerican region, you have very, very low hard coral cover, very high macroalgae cover, and you're looking at a reef that really looks like it's on its last legs. But then as soon as you descend onto the reef in Tela, you're just seeing coral absolutely everywhere. And you're seeing coral. There are there's some research that I've done. There's some surveys I've done throughout the course of my research in Tela where I've had transects where it's been 100% coral cover at some points, and that's incredibly unusual. And so my very first thought when you kind of go down there, it's a very emotional experience actually for someone who has been studying coral reefs to finally see a reef looking slightly more like what you think a reef should look like. When you have your kind of childhood dreams of what a reef is, and then you kind of finally descend onto one, and there is actually coral everywhere, and you are seeing life all around you, and it's a really quite emotional experience. It was really kind of my first impression of that. And then what was your second question? Sorry, Anton?
So
Why should especially local people and the conservation community in general, why should we care so much about this specific reef? And if you can share with us what you've learned about this reef and your understanding of it.
So the reefs in Tela Bay are incredibly unusual when you compare them to other reefs, even just 60 kilometers away. So even in the reefs of the Bay Islands, for instance, the reef system that exists within Tela is entirely unique as far as I am aware. You have a really incredibly high coral cover, and you have a collection of organisms living there that is pretty much unique. And it is potentially a really important refuge for the Caribbean. So the Caribbean in general and coral reefs worldwide are going through a period of massive decline, and we are in danger of losing them entirely within the next 20 years. And the Mesoamerican region is also in a huge amount of danger, largely because of issues associated with climate change, so particularly rising sea surface temperatures. And one of the really unusual things about the reefs in Tela is they don't seem to succumb to the increase in temperature in the same way that other reef systems in the Mesoamerican barrier reef do. And that's really unusual. And it's really, it kind of is a source of hope, because it means that potentially Tela could operate as what we would call a source population for other reefs within the area. So if other reefs are struggling to survive, what we think might be happening is that Tela has such an unusual composition that perhaps the reefs in Tela can survive when reefs elsewhere are unable to survive. And that means that if we lose other reefs within the area, Tela could become a very important, almost parent for the rest of the Mesoamerican region, because you end up having this refuge where species are able to survive. And then from there, you can get repopulation of other reef systems nearby that have succumbed to climate change, rising sea surface temperatures, and all sorts of other threats that are reducing the health of other reef ecosystems.
Well, thanks, Max, for sharing that with us. Hopefully, people will hear this, and more people will be aware of what's happening here in Tela and why our reefs are so special.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed.
And hope to see you soon here in Honduras.
Oh, I hope so. God, I hope so.